Hi, I'm Suzann Lazear, and I'm the author of the YA steampunk fairy tale series, The Aether Chronicles. Book 1 is Innocent Darkness, and today I'm going to read you a little bit from chapter 25. He reached into the knothole. When his hands withdrew, it held something. The corners of his lips turned down into a frown. Noli crouched next to him. "Hold out your hands," he told her. She extended her hands, and V placed something into them, still and cold. "Right now the magic is weak," he explained. "She hungers, and some of the weaker parts of the land are fading away, as the power does. We, too, will fade when she fades completely, even those of us who live in your world. Some creatures are sickening and dying. As she weakens, our own magic becomes erratic." His eyes fell to what lay in her hands, and a somber feeling cloaked her. In her hands was a tiny, pale wood fairy, but she didn't dance around like a drunken firefly. She didn't even glow. Her wings were still and lifeless. She simply lay there, unmoving, in her green dress that resembled leaves, her bare feet peeking out. Her brown eyes pleaded with Noli to help, but she seemed too ill to do anything more. Everything fell into place, and Noli felt bile rise in her throat. "If I don't die, everyone else will." V put an arm around her, and one of his fingers stroked the golden brown hair of the fairy in her hand. "If someone meeting the requirements doesn't become the sacrifice soon, the entire otherworld and all the creatures calling it home will cease to exist. Not only will we all die, but the mortal realm will be affected too. It relies on the magic that leaks into it from the otherworld. That's what gives you mortals your creativity, if our magic ceases to exist." Flying fakes! The epithet wasn't strong enough, given everything that was at stake. "That's what you mean by figuring out together." V nodded. "You mean all the qualifications, but the magic hasn't bound you. If we find someone else, quickly, could we fix this?" But it was too late for this little wood fairy. Noli watched the life fade from the little creature in her hands. "Yes, but..." V sighed heavily. "Kevin had a lot of trouble finding someone this cycle. Usually the magic doesn't fade, the creatures don't die. It's a seamless transition." "Oh. Who would willingly die to save an entire world?" Her mouth clamped shut. How selfish she sounded. He shook his head. "Don't even think about it. I don't want you to be the sacrifice any more than I want us all to perish." She nearly dropped the fairy in her hands as a revelation smacked her. "You would die too." "I would, along with Elise, James, my father. I don't think we need to trick the girls, but no one else agrees with me." Defeat crossed his face and his shoulders rounded. "What do we do?" Noli whispered, hopelessness pressing down on her chest like bricks. "I don't want you to die either, but I don't want to die. I just want to go home." V stroked her cheek with his thumb. "We'll find a way to get you home. We'll find a way to fix the magic. We have to." But it was too late. The tiny fairy in her hands was dead. This scene was one of the first images I really had in my head when I started coming up with the idea of this story. This idea of her and the fairy dying in her cupped hands. And it really stayed with me through writing the story. And at one point in time I actually thought maybe that would be neat to have it as the cover image of her, the fairy dying in her hands. But that was back when girl holding something on cover was the big trend, and publishing runs slow. So by the time the book came out, that wasn't a thing anymore, and well, I really like my cover. It's pretty awesome. Anyway, I'd love to know what you think about that scene and what you think about the book in general. Hit me up on Twitter at Suzann Lazear or on Facebook at The Aether Chronicles, which is the series page. Or you can learn more about the books by going to our webpage, www.aetherchronicles.com. Thanks and have a great day. Bye!